I ain't gonna lie, sometimes when I got the boots on, I be feeling like a Street Fighter character, feeling like I'm about to bust somebody's ass real quick, you know what I'm saying? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and we just gonna honestly just get started. Y'all already know the title. Let's get into it. Now, I completely understand. We really want to be getting good at what we're doing. We want to stick to the level of greatness, or at least find it in this craft. But let's just be real. Work, life, relationships, friendships, all of this stuff be throwing hands with our abilities and our goals. So this is a good opportunity for me to kind of open your eyes to a little life lesson. Now I get it. You're trying to work to pay bills. You are trying to fund your dance journey. But sometimes, like, the practice and the time of which you practice usually tends to fall short. So between work and life, how do you balance it? So I'm gonna break this thing into about 5 sections. I'm gonna keep it very nice and simple, and hopefully by the end of this video, you will have a better understanding on how you can use your time or make your time and balance it with your work, your life, and not feel like you have a little bit too much burnout of, building too much in one area and not being able to supply yourself with enough time to practice and build yourself in your dance area. The first is prioritize like a pro. I'm gonna say this so much. You do not find time, you make it. If you live your life based off of your work schedule, the same rules should also be applied to your schedule when it comes to training. Treat the time that you train like you would a meeting. Your priorities for the meeting is set up, and you try to work towards executing the growth of what's to be the outcome of said meeting. And the secret is consistency over intensity. So if you got 10 minutes before work, use it. You on your lunch break, throw some reps in on some ideas. Get some little moments of repetitious movement in. It doesn't gotta be a lot, but it's gotta be enough to get you continuously fueling your energy, fueling your dance, so that it continues to grow. Now, I know this is not a Mythbusters video, but the myth that is surrounding scheduling your time is that if it's not a full hour or more, then it's not worth it. But little do most people know, those micro labs, those little tiny moments throughout each day that you're putting into your craft, you're building something stronger, better, perhaps than most people who take 1 solid hour in a week. So taking that little bit of time, trying to make sure that, like, okay, my jab feels pretty good today. Maybe let me adapt something to it. And those 5 minutes of you adapting something to it could catapult you later down the line when you do have a full actual, set hour or some change. You feel me? Train smart, not just hard. So instead of just aimlessly, practicing for hours, I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna just keep sessioning, I'm gonna just keep doing stuff. Oh, I'm tight, yeah, I'm getting crazy, but like, instead of doing that for, long periods of time and not really aiming to do anything specific, try to think about it like a workout. If I'm going in for chest day, I'm obviously going to do a certain amount of movements, a certain time frame goes into it, certain amount of reps, certain amount of this, that same type of structure. Think about that same thing for your dance. So I'm going to do a 5-minute warm-up, and after I do my 5-minute warm-up, I'm going to go into drills for 15 minutes of me doing, a few songs, drilling a certain thing. I'm gonna level up my musicality, maybe even for 20 minutes. So I'm gonna just listen to music, and I'm gonna try and dissect it. I'm gonna try and build myself up, and then I'll do a cool down for 5 minutes. That structure alone feels so much more beneficial in the long run than you just going, I just need to lab. I just need to lab. I just need to lab. Like, it's training, not just labbing. Like, it's training, and it's good when you have a structure. it's not just about the hours that you put in, it's about what you put into those hours. So just as much as there are people who have been crumping for 20 plus years and are still in the same position that they were, there's people who have 2, 4, 5 years of experience. Now, I'm not saying that there has to be this type of difference, but there are a lot of people who know how to put in the right amount of work, especially when you train smart. So this is not knocking anybody, but it's saying, there are people who ignorantly try and say that my experience is worth all. And there are certain people who are pushing boundaries even without the same amount of experience as others. So it's not just to say I have experience, but it's to say I put in the smart training, the smart hours. I took myself into the smarter risk that put me in to excel a lot higher. So really make sure that there's an interest in switching your mindset towards the smarter route instead of the harder route. And this doesn't always have to be like the physical aspect of it, because I know we have exhausting work hours sometimes. So like take some of those exhausting hours, and instead of going, I gotta go lab after a long day of work, like take it into a mental lab. Maybe listen to music and just dissect in your mind exactly what things are happening in the song. Maybe watch footage, see what's currently happening right now in certain battles and who's really showing a different area that can inspire you for your next lab to work on something new. These are all things that helps you in the long run and makes it to where you have more opportunities to stay consistent and not feel like there's such a pressure to have it one way every time. Number 3 is a pretty crazy one, because a lot of people would be surprised on how well this works if they actually implement it, and that's stacking your habits. Now, we obviously have tons of stuff that we do naturally. Everybody's got to brush their teeth. Hopefully you do that. You got to shower. You got to eat food. You got to commute to work. These are all natural things that are habitual. They're very normal things that you have to do on a consistent basis, almost daily. Stack something on top of these. Make them beneficial to you. Now, I'm not saying you got to make your whole life crump. I'm not saying you got to make your whole life dance. But you do, or you should, apply a certain degree of consistency that doesn't have to be so unnatural, like having to set time aside. Put something that is in your dance into your natural, and it's going to be coming out more naturally. It's crazy how like the flip really works. And I'll give you some examples. Now, I'm going to show you these ideas, but obviously when you're doing this stuff, you're at home in the comfort of not having to show anybody that you're doing this. So if it looks crazy, or if it feels like this is probably going to be a crazy idea, trust me, just trust the idea, trust the process. And if it doesn't work, there's so many more habits that you have that you can stack. Let's just say brushing your teeth. So you're brushing your teeth. Obviously, this is just your normal motion here. You got an arm that obviously isn't being used. Maybe it's chilling on the counter. Maybe it's chilling on the side. Maybe you're just waiting here like some people. And this is one opportunity that you can have to maybe put drills into your other arm. Maybe an arm placement. Maybe this is just your weaker arm. Maybe use that to your advantage. So if I'm brushing my teeth and it takes me about a minute, 2 minutes to brush my teeth fully, making sure everything is all set, maybe I can hold an arm placement, holding something that just helps me kind of just feel different, or feel like there's something that is naturally able to be fulfilled. Now, every day, me changing my arm placement, me changing the idea, this is slowly taking my everyday activity, and eventually I can start to use it in my crump and not feel like it's so harsh, because I'm used to using my arm placement that's already stacked with a habit. It just comes naturally now. And let's say, for example, like we're driving a car though. You know, you got to drive to work, you got to drive to go grab food, whatever the case is. You can use that time to play some music, play your crump tracks, kind of get an idea, dissect some more things. This is like a more natural, a lot of people do this more than the other. So, you're listening to music, you're trying to find certain rhythms, certain details, and certain beats, and you're taking that and you're going to then translate it later on, doing maybe like a shadow lab, like you're like mentally kind of like in the zone of where you want to hit certain things. So this is a good way for you to use a habit that you're already comfortable and you're used to, and you're adding your element, adding your craft into it. Last one, just a spitball one out of nowhere. Let's just say cooking, okay? Now, everybody knows the joke about like, you're waiting for your food in the microwave, so you just gonna be dancing and getting off on the corner and you're just waiting for it to be done. You got 3 minutes. But in reality, stuff like that, it does help a lot. I'm not saying that you got to do it when you're waiting for your microwave food, but let's say, for example, like, you're at the kitchen counter, you're waiting, you're cooking, you're doing certain things. Maybe adapt, play with it, see how the idea maybe works for you if you actually wanted to use it in your round. If you're cooking, moving, how can you tell a story with what you're doing and be able to use it for your crump? These are all elements that you can use to boost the awareness that you have with your own sense of self, because it's all coming from natural things that you're used to. Sound good? Number 4, quite the kicker, minimize your time wasters. This is gonna suck. But let's be real. We all watch too much TV, we play too many video games, and yes, when TV most of everything that we do is social media driven, we'll even doom scroll our life away for a while. I've almost got caught doing it myself, and I was like, nah, I'm not. No. Minimize the things that are wasting your time. Now, I ain't saying cut it out, because that's unrealistic. But if we always got so many rooms for distractions, it's always good to see what the reality of what our scope of time is. If you got 2 hours to be scrolling on Instagram or TikTok, you got time to lab. You got time to practice. Let's just be real. So, do it. When it's time for me to lab and practice, the phone is on silent, notifications off. We are on do not disturb, and it ain't gotta last a long time. It's just get the intention out the way, get the work done, and just hammer through. And then when you're done, hey, guess what? You can always just go back to what you were doing. At least you got the work done. You feel me? Now, before I drop the last one, if you guys have been enjoying this video so far, be sure to give a like, a comment, and if you could also subscribe, because all that stuff boosts everything that we're doing, and hopefully I can start to push a lot more towards answering some of you guys' questions, because I'm seeing a lot. I might do a Q&A next, so feel free to leave a comment with a few questions that you have involving your crump journey specifically. I know my subscribers, I'm already talking to them and getting some of their questions asked, so feel free to make sure that you're just tapping in, and so that we can all grow together in this movement. The last one that I'm going to give you guys is a cheat code. R&R. Rest and recovery are a dancer's best friend. As much as people are going to say otherwise, you can put all the training in the world up to the highest degree, and I guarantee you, if you drag yourself down, you burn yourself out, it's all going to be worth nothing. Rest, recover before you continue to harm yourself and push the boundaries, risk. Like, I know people who push 4 or 5 hours and then they wake up the next morning and everything aches and hurts. I've done it. Rest and recover. It is your body's best and greatest weapon. And resting isn't laziness, as long as you're not overdoing it. Making sure that you're getting enough rest is important, okay? A well-rested dancer will improve much faster than a non-rested dancer. It is just how facts work. I can dance a lot better under a full rest after all the work that I put in, when my body is really good, energized naturally, than for me to be sitting over here trying to go for, like, Red Bulls and extra, things that are not going to help me keep my natural energy, here. Not that I'm knocking anybody who has to do this, because there's a lot of people who work crazy hours, crazy amounts of work, and they still have time to put in a lot of lab work. But make sure that you get in your rest. It's more beneficial for your body. It's beneficial for your mind. It helps you stay clear. And it makes it to where you don't have to worry about putting out a poor performance. No matter how great the training is, if you can't do the right stuff, it is not going to benefit you in the long run. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you guys need anything else, go ahead and watch that video. See you guys later.